Well, pleasure being in Thailand. It's one of my favorite countries. I do travel a lot. As a matter of fact, for the last 2 weeks, I've spent traveling the region, attending many of those events. And for the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to talk about the hidden things that when we interact with the systems, everything depends on the networks. If the systems are not connected to each other, they cannot interact, and also they cannot do all of the wonderful things that we benefit from. But how do we get there? How do we get from 5 years ago, 10 years ago to today? And the slide behind me, you can see the wonderful digital transformation in Thailand for the last 5 years. And when you look at these numbers, they're phenomenal. For example, 4.5 times growth in cloud. The previous presenter mentioned that now major cloud providers, public cloud providers, they're opening facilities in Thailand. And when you look at the internet users, 95% of the Thailand population is on the internet. That is phenomenal. Vietnam, for example, is about 80%, but 95% of the entire population on the internet, that is probably as high as it is going to get. And last but not least, look at the 5G investments, 2.7 billion. It's still going on. And we have 5G coming in, 6G coming in the next couple of years. So overall, Thailand is one of the leading digital economy. Now, let's look at the AI trends. So AI trends in Thailand and in Southeast Asia. So please keep in mind that as not so long ago, maybe 2-3 years ago, nobody knew about AI. And AI was some ChatGPT website or the annoying Copilot prompt that you get from Microsoft. But look at it now. By 2030, 3.7 billion, 3.27 billion, 8 billion of investments in hyperscale data center in Thailand alone. It is expected to drive 30% annual growth within the enterprises, and the overall contribution to the economy is expected to be in the range of 75 billion. And I'm sure that those numbers, they're going to be adjusted because, analysts, they do make mistakes. But when you look at the statistics and the trends, it's unprecedented. This is pretty much what we're having, what we're experiencing right now with AI. Is another resurrection or deja vu from the internet growth. And some of the use cases, I actually really wanted to look at how Thailand enterprises are using AI, and I was very happy to see that it's pretty much across all of the industries, financial services, manufacturing, healthcare, retail, cybersecurity, and government. All of those different industry sectors, they're exploring AI, they're using it, and this is really what we want to see. However, it doesn't go without challenges. So on a high level, when you look at the most common challenges that today organizations are facing when adopting AI in Thailand. Number one, talent shortage. What was the presenter before me mentioned? 10,000 AI cyber warriors. Data and infrastructure. Yes, major data providers and cloud providers are building presence in Thailand, but it's not there where it needs to be. I think that is one of the challenges as well. Cybersecurity risk, regulatory complexity, also the adoption. A lot of us nowadays, we're using AI as a glorified search engine, but it can do a lot more. And last but not least, geopolitical dependencies. A lot of, pretty much all of the AI chips and infrastructure is manufactured foreignly. Some of them in different parts of the world, but the geopolitical uncertainty does bring challenges to the AI adoption. One example in the core infrastructure. One example is that the recent tensions in the Middle East, they drove the incrementals of memory chips tenfold. Not tenfold, 10 or 100-fold. It's something unprecedented. And when you look at the cybersecurity challenges, so what cybersecurity challenges AI brings on the table today? Well, one of it is encryption. Pretty much everything is encrypted nowadays, more than 93% of the traffic. And that in turn generates challenges because if the system is encrypted, we can't see the traffic. Visibility gaps. More than 70% of the organizations do not have sufficient visibility within their interactions with the network or on the network to provide adequate defenses. Everything that is happening on the network, in order to be able to defend against it, you need to have access to it. More than AI-powered attacks, they're actually on the rise, and they will continue to grow. Shadow IT risk, and takes close to 200 days to detect lateral movements. And lateral movements is the notion when your system has been compromised, the attackers, while the first thing what they would do, they would try to move left or right or laterally into other adjacent systems to see what is it there. And they're getting very smart about it. They usually will stay very low and will keep quiet so that they're not detected. We know for cases where attackers will patch servers so that the IT does not go and patch the server because that's what their footprint. And sometimes when they wanted to stay below the IT radars. And I have actually a lot of cases like this, but unfortunately I don't have the time to talk about them today. Now, what do we do? So I'm from Gigamon, and Gigamon introduced the concept of deep observability. A deep observability is the notion of capturing network traffic, generate a rich, enhanced metadata, and then distribute it to the supporting systems to detect hidden attacks, manage networks, optimize performance, monitor applications, ensure compliance, and so on and so forth. It is a journey. It is not something that you can accomplish overnight. Most of the organizations that we start with, they are either with ad hoc visibility or network visibility. Later on, we want everybody to move towards deep observability, and the end goal is AI-powered deep observability, where you have unified access across your entire network, every infrastructure, every point, and then afterwards use AI-enhanced mechanisms to capture, optimize, and monitor the data. This is how we help you address those challenges. I mentioned a little bit earlier about the AI cybersecurity challenges in Thailand. Now, this is how we address them. One of the first things what we need to do is to make sure that all of the traffic is decrypted. Now, there are many organizations that will tell you, cybersecurity vendors, that will tell you that we don't need to decrypt the traffic in order to detect threats. That is partially true, but it's largely not sufficient. In order to have a full inspection, full threat detection, in order to be identified that this is AI or this is human, you must decrypt the traffic before you inspect it. You need to have access to everything, not just your syslogs from servers or from routers or from EDR endpoints, but you need to be able to access the network in motion. And that makes a huge difference. And also, not only access the data on the network, but also you need to be able to process it, optimize it, and generate what we call metadata. And metadata is the key highlights, the key components, the essence that deliver the intelligence that we need. I'll give you an example. What is the difference between when you use network deep observability versus traditional syslogs or mirror ports. It's an actual case that we worked on. We had a customer that came to us and said, hey, I need to have real-time intelligence and visibility in what's going on my network. It was an emergency response service. Traditionally, the delay was 5 minutes. And as it happened, when this 5 minutes, situation changed and people lost their lives because the emergency services were not able to respond immediately. Now, that is the difference between immediate access and delayed access. Lives are at stake. How do we do it? And what are the key components that you need to consider? Well, of course, access to all of the infrastructures, when it's going to be private cloud, public cloud, containers, or even AI-generated workloads. 4 things that needs to happen that actually we do. We apply the traffic, we transform it, we process it, and then at the end of the day, we deliver it to the different systems. Of course, goes without saying, we need to have a layer of AI intelligence beneath it. And one of it is detecting the different workloads, AI workloads within the network traffic. As I mentioned earlier, we're capable of detecting all of the major AI. The slide said here 30, but actually there are a lot more. Whether it's private, whether it's public, we actually, as long as it's AI traffic, we will detect it. In addition to that, we use AI assistants to manage and govern our solution. So rather than going and through all of the configurations and find out what is working, what is not, how to configure it, we made it very easy for our users. We have AI-assisted configurations and troubleshootings. And last but not least, we deliver to our users our own intelligence and analysis where customers can interact directly with the AI models and ask and receive questions about the status of the networks, whether for security, for applications, or it doesn't matter. Possibilities are endless. Of course, the traffic further on is to distribute it to the different tools. Pretty much everyone nowadays have some or all of those tools, whether it's going to be security event management, network detection response, application performance management, forensics, cloud native. We all work with this type of tools. 2 things that we have to consider. When we talk about network packets, there are 2 types of traffics that organizations work with. One of them is just the packet. And the packet, or this type of tools, or this type of systems, that they do the processing on their own. A system would be, let's say, NDR, network detection response systems, that actually they get all of the ingested traffic, they process on their own and generate threats detection. Or another set of tools would be the AI or the data tools. As I mentioned earlier, everything that is happening on the network needs to be monitored. And one of the things that Gigamon does is that we send to this tool only the data that matters. So rather than sending the entire flow, we will send only the highlights, whether it's Outlook, whether it's a database transactions, whether it's expired certificate, whether it's a HTTP error, whether it's an AI engine. We work with more than 6,000 or 7,000 metadata attributes. Now, and what do we do at the end? So how do we put everything together into a unified data-enabled, network data-enabled visibility engine? So as I mentioned earlier, I introduced the concept of deep observability, and that's what this graphic represents. We have a system or solution that connect with all of the points or the networks, capture the data, optimize it, and then afterwards send it and store it to your tools. Well, we add an AI engine on the top, and also we enable the users to interact with that engine, whether it's a prompt or agentic interaction. And what also gives you the ability is to combine network intelligence with syslog intelligence. So one of the examples that I can give it to you, how this thing helps, is that we had a customer that had an NDR, network detection and response, and he wasn't very sure whether the firewall policies will help him to protect against those threats. Or how do we know that whatever the NDR detects, the firewall can protect against it? Well, there's a very easy way to do it. This solution can help you correlate the both syslog files from firewalls or policy files from the firewalls with the network traffic that is on the network, and can tell you immediately whether the policies that you have are sufficient or you need to optimize something else. In addition to that, you could ask, am I compliant? And we'll answer to you. You could inquire, are there any suspicious bots into my network? Do I have shadow IT? Any questions, any concerns that you may have about the state of your network, whether from security, from performance, from compliance, or from application point of view, you would get the answer to. As I mentioned earlier, it's a prompt-based, but also it can be automated, because one of the most common topics, in addition to AI that we have been discussing with our customers, is automated SOC. If you're wondering, if you want to see this thing in action, we have a booth here, and you're more than welcome, and one of my team members actually will show it to you how it works in practice. So we have to consider all of the defenses and all of the addressing these AI challenges. And how do we help how do we help organizations to address these challenges? Well, whether it's to cyber threats, talent, data infrastructure, regulatory, SME adoption, or vendor dependencies, network visibility and deep observability pipeline plays directly into alleviating. And analyst agrees. This is from Gartner. And Gartner mentions that visibility into AI activities should be one of the core focus of organizations today. If you can't see it, you can't monitor it, you can't detect against it. And if I want you to walk away with 3 main points, those are the points that I want you to remember. First of all, AI is driving explosive network growth. The traffic that is coming into our networks today, it's exponential. 5 years ago, 10 gigabit per second was a lot. Right now, 800 gigabit per second, single network link is not sufficient. AI introduces new security risk, security and visibility risk. This is probably going to be discussed in depth and in length in this event today. But please remember that, and the presenter before me mentioned, when AI orchestrates attacks, they happen very quickly. We cannot react. By the time we realize what's happening, we feel the consequences. So we have to get ahead. Attackers need to be right only once. Cybersecurity defenses, whether AI or traditionals, need to be right all the times. And last but not least, telemetry and volume signal search and signals detections matter. Quite often, when I sit in front of customers, one of the first things they ask me, how do I reduce the noise? I have 20,000 alerts from my network per day. Only 10 matters. How do I get to the 10 that are important and ignore everything else? And this is what deep observability delivers to you. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'll be out outside and we'll be happy to talk with you more. Thank you.